Hi, I'm going to try to give a quick introduction to relative clauses, otherwise known as adjective clauses. I like the name adjective clause better, but your book prefers relative clause, and you can say whatever you want. Just make sure you know what I'm talking about when I say relative clause or adjective clause. This is in Chapter 5 of Grammar and Beyond, and the introduction they give is very, very basic too. It gets a lot more complicated, and I think it's a great idea for all of you guys to review this because they're really common and they're hard in English. English relative clauses are one of the more difficult areas of English, and you're going to need them in order to write academic stuff. Okay, so let's look at an example of just a regular sentence. People may not know about differences in birth order. People may not know about differences in birth order. There's no relative clauses here yet. If we want to describe people, which kind of people we're talking about? Maybe we're talking about all people, but maybe we're just talking about childless people. So if I say childless people may not know about differences in birth order. Childless means no kids, right? Childless people. This is an adjective, childless, and it's describing this noun, right? Or it's modifying that noun. Childless people. That's how you do it in English. You put adjectives in front of nouns. That's how they get modified or changed. Now we're going to be learning about adjective clauses. It's the same idea as an adjective. It's something that modifies a noun, but an adjective clause is obviously not a single word, it's a whole clause. So it has a subject and a verb in it. But it's still going to play the same role as this adjective clause. So let's say, instead of saying childless people, I want to say, essentially, people don't have kids. So I don't want to use this word childless. I want to use this whole expression, this whole clause. People don't have kids. If I want to use this, this is a whole clause. I can't just put it in here. This is one mistake students make, is to say, people don't have kids may not know about differences in birth order. That doesn't work in English because we can't have two main verbs. We can't do that. So what English will do will be to take this and change it into an adjective clause. And adjective clauses, unlike regular adjectives, are going to come after the adjective that they modify. So, people don't have kids. The way we do this in English, as you probably know, is, we're going to put a relative pronoun here, in this case, who. This is the subject relative pronoun for people. So, subject, verb, object. This is a complete clause, and we're going to put it right in there. So, people who don't have kids may not know about differences in birth order. That's a complete sentence that includes an adjective clause or a relative clause, and it's correct. Just one other quick note, punctuation. We will not put a comma here or here in this case. And the reason we don't do it is because this is known as a necessary or identifying relative clause or adjective clause. Why is it necessary? The reason is, I'm not talking about all people. I'm not talking about all people. So this is necessary, absolutely necessary, to let you know which person, which kind of people that I'm talking about. I'm not talking about all people, I'm only talking about people who don't have kids. This helps identify which people I'm talking about. If you put commas here, it makes it look like it's optional, like you could have deleted it. But in this case, deleting it would totally change the meaning. So we need this adjective clause in the sentence. One other note that may help some of you in just thinking about what this is. In other languages, in most other languages, adjective clauses, relative clauses are done in a different way. Here I'm thinking about like Korean and Japanese and probably Chinese, but I'm not sure because I don't really speak it. So non-European languages, the ones that I know about, tend to put this whole phrase here, and the grammar will be something like, don't have kids people may not know about differences in birth order. That's grammatically, it's a little bit easier to handle than the English way, but it's the same thing. And so once you learn how to do this in English, it should be easy too. But it will probably take some practice, and there's a couple little tricky things about it that I'll cover in a future video. All right, thank you.